Mr. Bracknell says that it is now 6:30. I'd like to thank everyone for coming to the official May 1st council meeting 2017. If you will bow your head for a short word of prayer. Heavenly Father, thank Thee for the sunshine and the rain, Lord. We thank Thee for all of the many blessings. We're still waiting over the passing of Councilman Simmons. Pray that You will please be with his family and bless them and comfort their hearts, Lord. All the others, Lord, that were on the prayer list yesterday, it was so long in our church, and I'm sure it was long in other churches, Lord. Touch their bodies and heal them if it be Thy will. Ask Thee to forgive us of all of our many sins. And Heavenly Father, please bless America. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Join with me as we pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the approval of the agenda is published. I hear a motion.
Make a motion to accept the agenda.
Mr. Bracknell, here a second. Second by Walden. Any discussion?
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
under new business, number 2, says adopt a resolution providing an election to select a successor to serve in Ward 3 position. That is my position.
Should be Ward 4.
Change that.
That's only a typo. Ward 4. Any other questions? Any other discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's approved. Okay, the first item, visitor, Tammy Meeks. Ms. Meeks.
Thank y'all for allowing me to come speak.
That's Councilman Rockwell, Bracknell, Mr. Osborne, I'm Lester Horman, Howard Walden, Councilman, our city attorney, and council ladies, Penny Ransom.
Okay, it's nice to meet y'all. I've given every one of y'all a packet. Did you all get one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I work with the Air Med Care Network. I'm going to make this short and sweet. We have 2 companies that operate here in Georgia. We have Air Evac, which is here in Carrollton, and then we have Life Force, which is there's one in Calhoun, Georgia, and there's also another one up in the northern part of Georgia. They're also at Erlanger. But what I wanted to talk to you guys about is a membership program for the city employees. I have put a lot of information in these packets. We offer a membership if you or anyone in your household are flown. You have no out-of-pocket cost if you are a member. To sign up to be a member, it's $65 a year, and it pays what your insurance does not cover. In most cases, insurance does not cover all of it. I can give you example after example of the claims process where it only paid a portion of it. And this right here is just everything in detail. We are right now we're in 33 states, but we've just purchased another large company. So within 60 days, we will be in 40 states. Well, probably more than 40 states, closer to 48 states, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, and Alaska. I was forgetting Alaska. But, so this coverage is not just for while you're here, while you're in Georgia. This is nationwide coverage. I've already worked with several other cities around, Buchanan and Polk County has this for their employees. Haralson County has it for their employees. So I just wanted to reach out to the smaller communities because we are a very community-oriented company. We come out to high schools. We come out and do community events. And I just wanted to present you with this information. If you wanted to do it for each employee, it would be $55 a year. And that covers everybody in their household, regardless of age, health, relationship status, any of that. We're not an insurance company, we're a membership, so we don't go by the guidelines with the insurance company. So, do any of y'all have any questions while I'm here?
I got any questions for Frank News? Thank you for your presenting your program. We will be back in touch with you.
Okay, my contact information is in the folder, so y'all call me
Thank
and
you.
reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Any public comment? Yes, sir, Mr. Atkins. Step forward and tell everybody who you are and where you live.
Yes, sir. My name is Randy Atkins, 312 Villa Rosa Road, and I just actually want to thank the council, Mr. Osborne, and the mayor for acting so quickly, getting Villa Rosa Road back open again. That helped the city and that whole southeast quadrant of the city. The first responders can get down there now, don't have to go all the way around. Thank y'all. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome, sir. Thank you. You're welcome. Any more public comment? Yes, sir.
Again, my name is Patrick Klein. I spoke to everybody a minute ago. I wanted to comment on, since I've spoken, I've heard more than one public official say things in a less than respectful tone. And I would like to say to anyone and everyone that can hear me that no matter what you believe, no matter what position on any stance you will ever take, being aggressive may be something that you can do, but it is not always the right answer. If you need to be heard at some point in time, you will be. And speaking over other people for any reason at all is not only disrespectful, it is unprofessional. And if you are pro or against con of anything that is going on, by letting yourself lose your temper and saying over and over what is and is not on a bill or a ordinance, then you yourself make yourself and us, the city of Temple, look as if we were mendicants, look as if we didn't know how to operate as adults. And that is unacceptable to me. I do not understand, in a time we are in 2017, we should be able to talk to each other. We should be able to ask questions from each other. And I find it unacceptable that we can't give, even if we disagree completely with the other side, we should be able to give them that time to speak their mind. Because whether you think it's wrong or not, that doesn't matter. The entire world watches things like this and they say, okay, that man already looks crazy. That woman already looks like this. He already is making his point. Now, when someone else speaks, what happens is they say, oh, but the other side, they don't look so good either. And so what you need to do, always remember, whenever you're coming back at something, be respectful in all ways. Because at the end of the day, again, we're all neighbors here. There's no reason we should ever raise our voices at each other. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anybody else have any public comment? Okay, then we will move down to approval of the April 3rd minutes. Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve.
Got a motion by Mr. Walden, second by Mr. Brackman. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Old business, report on the City of Temple's participation last week in the Georgia Cities Week, sponsored by GMA. Kristen Evans, please.
Okay, I'll keep this quick. We had Georgia Cities Week last week. Our Public Works Department did a spring cleanup that was really successful. Our Senior Center, Ms. Sandra, hosted a voter registration drive. Unfortunately, we did not have a large turnout for that, but I do hope any of you that aren't registered to vote will do so. We also had a town forum at the Senior Center, and we had an open house at City Hall. I do understand the open house at the time was not convenient for a lot of people, and we did have some complaints. However, it's never easy to find a time that's good for everybody. We do hope to have some more events in the future that will have later times so y'all can participate, and thank you for everyone that did participate. It was a successful week.
Thank you. Item number 2, Chief Lee, introduction of Nick and Della, chaplains for the Temple Police Department.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Back in March, early this year, y'all voted on us to accept a new chaplain. And during that time frame, I've been processing them in with uniforms and so forth. So now today, I'd like to bring them forth to officially introduce them to the Mayor, Council. And we got Nicholas and Della Licious.
Nick, and this is my wife, Della. We're honored to serve you and the community. And we'll do the best to provide spiritual backup, whatever else you need. Just give us a call. We're on 24/7. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item number 3, the reopening of Villa Rosa Road after the installation of a larger culvert near Double D Road. Mr. Everhart.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I think we all know that the Villa Rosa Road is now open. We definitely want to thank the people that we selected for expedition and getting that street back open. Any questions?
I'm still impressed by the speed in which that was done. That was a massive project. I went down there the day of flood, and it was a mess. And whenever Mr. Austin got word, he asked me, I said, hey, sir, better be safe than sorry. Let's close that road and get somebody on that. And we had a special call meeting, and we accepted the bid. I am impressed that it's open, and I thank you and Mr. Osborne and everyone else that had anything to do with this, sir. We work for the people of Temple, Mr. Wallen.
I will say it looked like a very neat job. Yes. It was done in about, what, a week?
About a week, took them about a week.
Good job.
Thank you, sir. Number 4. Update report on activities to seek improvement in the operation of City of Temple's water and sewer service. Mr. Osborne.
If you would, on your tabs, if you would go with your third tab, you'll see a memo from me entitled New Update on Water and Sewer Operation. Just very quickly to bring you up to date on our water and sewer rate study. That work is underway by the Georgia Community Assistance Program. Of doing this at no cost to the city. I've been in touch with the head of their office, Mr. Philip Reed, who had done some work for the city of Temple previously. We are expecting to have a draft ready for us to look at within the next 6 weeks. And of course, all of us are anxiously awaiting to see what the study results will look like as we make plans for the overall future of our program. The next part of the report, technical assistance grant for the state of Georgia. As you know, back at your March meeting, you had approved us to prepare and file with the Georgia Environmental Facilities Authority an application for a water loss technical assistance program grant that what GFA had approved for us basically should result in us getting some good technical assistance as we work in the area of customer meter testing, something we need some assistance and some improvement in. The Georgia Environmental Facilities Authority and their program manager for this, Cavanaugh Associates, have selected the firm of UWF, that technical assistance. We will be talking with you more about that over the next few weeks. I have included in your book some other information on this grant, including listing of terms and conditions. Finally, I'm continuing to try to interact with groups, including the University of North Carolina Environmental Finance Center, Georgia Association for Water Professionals, and of course, DNR with the Environmental Protection Division as we're working on this overall. Just wanted to make that report. Any questions on those three? Yes, ma'am.
The agenda item that I'd asked, did you include that up under the new business portion or the old
It's going to be in the new
under
business.
new business, okay.
I will be disappointed if we don't see some improvements in our water and sewer billing system over the next few weeks. You know, we've had a lot of issues with that. We'll cover this later with the transition to sale, but just wanted to make that report to you, and we'll keep you abreast of what we're doing on this. This is a long-term project, but I think we're making progress.
Number 5, updated report on the workshop to be scheduled with the State Attorney General's Office on open meetings with the attorney, Mr. McRae.
Mayor and members of the council, we had sent to the State of Georgia Attorney General's Office, as you know, the consent order some months ago. For some reason it never got there. We now sent it again, certified mail. They do have it. And we're waiting on them, as we have been in the past. Appreciate your cooperation, but this is the second time, and however long that's been, 3 or 4 months we've sent it to them. So the Assistant Attorney General handling the matter that we've got to comply with, as you know, and complete the process. So they do now have it, and they will be back in touch with us. So we'll hear back from the Attorney General office, nothing further the temple needs to do about that.
Thank you, sir. Any more old business? New business, consider arrangement for an election of an individual to complete the unexpired term of former Councilman William Simmons, which extends through December the 31st. So then we have a resolution here to, yes, sir.
We need to add December the 31st of 2019.
Yes.
Down there where you couldn't see it, sir.
Yes, you do, sir. 2001. Okay. Okay, number 2. Yes,
If I can get y'all to go to that next tab, just to be sure before you get to the resolution, bottom line is that I've given you a couple of things in the past, but assuming that you go ahead and call for the special election, and that's an assumption that I'm making based on talking with you, though, as Mr. McRae and I have talked, you have the authority, if you wanted to, is to delay the election until November. It's your regular election. That would save you the cost of a special election, but as I say, based on comments that you've made to me, my assumption is that you would want to move forward. The quickest we can do that is Tuesday, June the 20th. And working with the county board of elections, we would be talking about qualifying would be next Monday to Wednesday, May the 8th to 10th here at City Hall. The fee to run for this office is $72. If you approve the resolution in just a few minutes to have the special election, we have an ad that's already at the Times Georgian that they will put in, that will run in Wednesday's paper. That would be our notice of the call issue. Early voting would start on Monday, June the 5th, for a couple of weeks. That would be at the Carroll County Election and Registration Office. And like I say, election day would be on June the 20th. And the final thing, just if anybody here or anybody else that may hear about this, if you are unregistered but qualified and registered here in the city of Temple, in order to vote in this special election, you must get registered not later than Monday, May the 22nd. That's my report to you, and Mr. Mayor would turn it over then to our city attorney, and if members of the council, and Mr. Mayor, if you would go to the last couple of pages under this tab, you will find a proposed resolution that has been prepared by our city attorney. Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
I had something about the resolution. It's very important. The resolution says that Councilman Simmons' term is not due to expire until December 31st of 2020. It should be 2019.
I got that correction. Mr. Bratton?
Do we need to vote on the June 20th date before we read the resolution?
We need to vote, I assume, on whether the question would be before the council meeting, whether we want to have the special election or whether we want to put it on the November election.
I make a motion that we do the June the 20th with all corresponding dates.
I'll second that.
Motion and second, any discussion? Favor signify by saying aye. Okay, that's carried. Mr. McCray.
Nothing further. Pass the resolution.
Pass the resolution. Item number 3, the second read of proposed ordinance to change the amount of fine imposed by the city of Temple if an individual is found guilty of possession of 1 ounce or less of marijuana with no intent to distribute. Mr. McCray.
The ordinance was read at for its first reading last month, and it is now before you for a second reading. Mayor, can you go ahead and
Please read it, sir.
All right. This is an ordinance by the City Council of the City of Temple, whereas the City Council finds that enforcement of the state law prohibiting possession of less than 1 ounce of marijuana has been inequitable and has fallen disproportionately on certain subsets of the population, and whereas an arrest and or conviction for the state law offense of possession of less than 1 ounce of marijuana may present future problems for any person charged with this offense, and its disposition being a potential criminal record for that person, and whereas this offense shall be considered a municipal ordinance violation and be accomplished pursuant to citation by appropriate law enforcement authorities of the City of Temple, and whereas OCGA 36-32-6 grants municipal courts concurrent jurisdiction to try and dispose of cases wherein a person is charged with possession of 1 ounce or less of marijuana when such conduct occurs inside a municipality. Now therefore be it ordained by the City of Temple and is hereby ordained and established as follows. Section 1. City of Temple law enforcement officers are hereby encouraged by the City Council to issue citations for violation of the City Code to individuals possessing 1 ounce or less of marijuana, rather than arresting such individuals when possession of marijuana is the sole non-traffic offense by the individual observed by the officer. Section 2. It shall be unlawful for any person to possess 1 ounce or less of marijuana within the corporate limits of the city. Conviction for violation of this ordinance shall be punished by a fine of $75. No person convicted of violating this ordinance shall be punished by confinement of any period of time. Section 3. The Code of the City of Temple, as contained in Article 2 of Chapter 22, entitled Possession of Marijuana, shall stand amended by harmonizing that section or replacing it in its entirety with the provisions of this ordinance. Nothing contained in this ordinance shall prohibit any person from requesting their constitutional right under Georgia law for a trial by jury for any offense under Article 2. Section 4. It is hereby declared to be the intention of the City Council that the sections, paragraphs, sentences, clauses, and phrases of this enactment are severable. And if any phrase, clause, sentence, paragraph, or section hereof shall be declared unconstitutional by the valid judgment or decree of any court of competent jurisdiction, such unconstitutionality shall not affect any of the remaining phrases, clauses, sentences, paragraphs, and sections of this enactment, since the same would have been enacted by the City Council without the incorporation herein of any such unconstitutional phrase, clause, sentence, paragraph, or section. And then the last part is adopted and approved effective this blank day of blank 2017 with a place to show the members of the council voting in favor and those voting no. That's the ordinance.
Okay, we've heard the reading of the ordinance. Item number 4, adopt an ordinance to change the amount of fine imposed by the city of Temple for possession of 1 ounce or less of marijuana with no intent to distribute. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion.
A motion by Ms. Ransom. Do I hear a second? I hear a second.
I'll second the motion.
Got a second by Mr. Rockwell. Any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I would just ask that the council, before you vote, this is what you're voting on. You're voting on one person that's incarcerated, any one individual that would have been incarcerated in jail for nothing other than possession of 1 ounce of marijuana. It's this individual that this would affect, not the individual that was in excess of the speed or driving with no tag. This ordinance is when that is the sole non-traffic offense observed by that officer. I only pulled 16, but 4 is too many for me. When a person was booked in, arrested, had to bond out, looked at jail time, possibly a year in the probation system to do away with 6 months of jail time. It's this individual. And there's numerous ones of these one individuals. This is all we're looking at here. This is not legalization. This is not decriminalization. The fine amount was not even my issue. That's why I wanted to debate the fine. I had 3 plans. One plan started at a 150, a 300, and a 500 if you wanted to go into first, second, and third offenses. But it's this individual. So if you take away all the propaganda that's put around it, you're dealing with one individual. And these one individuals just happen to fall in the age of 20 to 26 years old. This is what we're looking at. We're looking at one individual that was found to be in possession of less than 1 ounce of marijuana when no other crime is committed. You know, you'd have a question, like let's say you have this right here where a person ran a stop sign, but the less than 1 ounce of marijuana, they went to jail for running a stop sign in possession of less than 1 ounce of marijuana. This is not going to affect the things that are still happening. I mean, this is not going to change. Possession of marijuana, operating an unregistered vehicle, operating a vehicle without a current license plate, not having their tag light and failing to have their license on their person. It's not going to change. There's several other traffic violations that were noted that would have taken someone to jail. The fine was not what was important to me. It was doing away with the chance of jail time in the year 2017 for nothing other than less than 1 ounce. That can be a half of a marijuana cigarette that a 20 to 25 to 28 or 29-year-old might have in that car. That could be a person coming across the line with medical oil in the city of Temple because it's still marijuana. That's what this would serve, and that's all it would serve. And if fines had been the issue, that was debatable. But the removal of the jail time and the opportunity for that jail time is something that the state constitution gives the cities the right to do. And so I just ask, as you go to vote on this, that you just consider exactly what it is you're voting for, not what's being put out there, but who is going to benefit from this. Instead of looking at who is this going to hurt, look, the people, out of everybody I pulled for 16, I found 1 repeat violator. That was it, found 1. Out of everyone that was taken down with marijuana. And you know, what shocked me on this is our police are dealing with some serious methamphetamine issues out here. And just about every single methamphetamine possession arrest came with a burglary or a shoplifting or a weapon. Okay? Marijuana, sole possession, nothing but possession. That's what this affects. And the officer still has to, I mean, if they start arguing with an officer, the officer still has the right to write them up under obstruction. That's a totally separate issue. This is that. So all I'm asking is that, you know, it's this one person. You know, you have officers right now that came out of mandate school with discretion. They have discretion to have someone put that up under their foot and rub it back into the ground where it came from. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you, I guarantee you we have officers that at one time or another have done just that. We're just making that fair for everybody, so it's not left up to one officer to let one person do away with that little bit of marijuana overtaking them to jail. We're just saying that's what we would encourage all of our officers to do. So as you go to vote on this, all I ask is that you keep in mind what you're voting on. And what you're voting on is someone when that is there's no felonies involved. That's the only thing observed by the officer. So that's my statement. Thank you.
Any more discussion? Yes, sir, Ms. Rockwell.
I really feel like this should wait until we have a full council to be able to get an accurate vote and for something to be able to move forward.
If the charter says 2 consecutive meetings, that we had a first reading.
To bring it back
I think
Got a
we-
motion and a second to adopt this discussion. All in favor of the ordinance, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, that's tied 2-2. The ordinance does not pass. It takes 3 affirmative votes. Item number 5, report on a new proposed 5-year agreement with the Carroll County Water Authority and the City of Temple, being presented by the Carroll County Water Authority with an effective date of January the 3rd, 2018.
The next tab is the workbook, is a memo concerning the city's purchase of water from the Carroll County Water Authority. I had given you a copy of this proposed agreement back in January. Matt Windows, the executive director of the authority, says that he'd like to sit down and talk with us about specifics. So I'm bringing this.
Everybody, talk and leave. Have you left? Okay, Mr. Osborne, continue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So what I'm calling to your attention again is the fact that in January we were notified by the Carroll County Water Authority that effective in January of 2018, our water rates, wholesale rates that they charge to the City of Temple will be going up. In fact, their schedule shows the rates going up each year for the next 5 years. But we do have things that we need to talk with them about. What I'm coming to you tonight is just reminding you that we had received this, but if we're getting ready to sit down and have some discussion with them, I need for the mayor and council to decide who from among yourselves you want to be sure is involved in that. So if you know what you would like to do in terms of who would be involved along with staff and having the discussion with the water authority, we can do that now. Otherwise, we need to do that certainly not later than our meeting at the 1st of June. But just want to be sure we got your involvement as we start this process.
Okay, thank you. And number 6, designation of a representative from the City of Temple to meet with respective representatives of the Carroll County Water Authority to finalize the details of a new 5-year agreement for local governments purchase of potable water. Carroll County Water Authority. What is your pleasure?
What is the suggestion?
Well, I think the suggestion is, I would think that the suggestion is that Mr. Osborne and Mr. Everhart, and along with maybe one council member, be on this committee, or either let Mr. Osborne and Mr. Everhart meet with them and report back to us. Is that what you were saying, sir?
So basically, exactly.
Is this something that would be replacing Mr. Simmons on the Water Authority? Wasn't he on the Water Authority?
He was
Or
on.
is this just
He was
part of a committee?
No, he was the City of Temple's representative to the Carroll County Water.
Is this what we're doing with this?
This right here is to go over this agreement, you know, here where they're going up on our water.
Okay, so it wouldn't be sitting on the board, okay.
Ms. Ransom.
Would it not just be the mayor, since you come back and bring, according to the charter, you're supposed to bring stuff back to the council, would it not be like the mayor the department head and the city administrator, would that not make sense?
It's whatever this council
That would be my
wants
motion.
to approve. Okay? You're making a motion
Yeah.
that the mayor and Mr. Everhart and Mr. Osborne are just the two.
Yeah, no, the three of y'all, so that
Three.
way it's, you got elected body and the governing body included.
You're a second to Ms. Ranson's motion.
I'll second.
A second, Mr. Rockland. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Okay, that's carried. Any opposed? Okay. Yes, sir.
Just, if I can go back to what Ms. Walden was asking, we have not heard anything from the Water Authority concerning a replacement. Maybe they haven't, I'm not sure, maybe they hadn't had a meeting since Mr. Simmons died. But I can reach out to them and be sure that they're putting whatever we need to do to bring the use of the name on replacement.
All right. Number 7, report on the City of Temple's roadway infrastructure project improvement fees. Mr. Osborne.
Your next tab is a report that Mr. Walden asked that we prepare. And I'm not going to take a lot of time on this. I would point out to you that I start that memo by pointing out that when you adopted this, there were 3 criteria that had to be in place for any subdivision to fall under the purview of this. So it basically is you know, it's where we had subdivisions, residential subdivisions started. They did not, they went into foreclosure or something, and we have, nothing has been done for time. Now that we're beginning to see a little activity, but we have some infrastructure needs, and you set up this fee and of course you did approve the assignment of a certain amount to each of these subdivisions based on what has to be done. I do on the second page of this memo report to you what activity we have had. Actually, Mr. Walden, it's good that he asked about this because I thought we had it set up from the staff level to take care of it. Found out that we had not. We still are in good shape because the collection of these fees can come either when we issue the building permit or before we issue a certificate of occupancy. And you also in your ordinance provided that if we had a developer, a builder that had not paid fees, that we don't have to issue any new building permits until he's gotten caught up. But what you can see is the Tiffany Mills, we've got a lot there that Arbor Landing, we have 3 lots there. Nothing on Perennial Park because it had to be a permit issued after you had adopted the ordinance. From a financial standpoint, you can see that we've got, we're due about $7,000 in this fee. So, any questions?
Okay, thank you for your report there, sir.
Question.
Yes, sir.
In Arbor Landing, now, are those, have you driven down there and looked at those houses? That those slabs are kind of jacked up on like a plateau? Is that within our codes?
Must have been at the time they were built, sir.
No, these are brand new.
Oh, brand new.
Brand new. It looks strange to me that those slabs were up really high. Like I say, on a plateau that's this high, or maybe higher. Is that I mean, I don't know if that's the right question to ask. It just looks strange to me that you got to bring a lot of dirt in there to even get them level with the ground.
I'm going to take the assumption, right now that what was done was correct, and because there would have been an inspection process.
That's what I was asking. We
But
do have an inspection process.
Let me go back through just to be sure that the process that they went through, that everything was done according to the way it should be done. But,
And they fell under this ordinance as well, right?
well, the new permits that are issued now since June the 6th of last year would fall under your fee.
And all those houses are like three or four in there that's under construction. And what it is, it's like lease to buy. It's that deal that I was afraid I was going to come into subdivision, just do a few of them at a time. If you don't mind, while we're on that, you just check that and be sure. Or in fact, I would like you to drive down in there and actually look at what I'm talking about.
Okay. I can do.
It's just strange that they're up on a plateau like that.
I haven't been in the subdivision in a couple of months. I go down and take a look and report back
That's
to you.
pretty awful, and that just kind of caught my eye.
All right. Item number 8, report on the possible scope and operation of a new landscaping and maintenance service agreement for the grounds of the city of several city of Temple properties, which would succeed the current agreement that expired on July the 31st, 2017. Mr. Osborne.
I wanted the mayor and council to have an opportunity for input on this as well as our staff. As you know, when we did the bid process a year ago, that we made a change in the contractor to provide the landscape and maintenance services. I'm not going to speak in terms of this past year and the year before on what each of those companies did, but I know that as we look ahead, that there may well be some changes that you want to see made in the scope and the way that the work is performed. I know several staff members are wanting to see some changes made. So I wanted to call that to your attention at this meeting. Take a look, if you will, at the grounds here at City Hall, at the police station, at the library, around the welcome to Temple signage there on Georgia 113 that we maintain, as well as a small area outside the senior center between that and the end of the building. And if you wish to see things done differently, if you'd like to see something else done, if you will let us know during the, say, the first 3 weeks of May, we want to put together a request for proposal that we would have you act on at your June meeting so we can get that advertised and get bids in from companies that you can approve at your July meeting, because then that would become effective at the end of July. So we're kind of on a 3-month process, but we need you to get involved as you wish and give us input at this time.
Yes, sir. You want something now?
If you want to give it to me now, after this meeting, the next few days, whatever.
Just briefly, I would like we do the request for proposals to get a price on the colored mulch as opposed to the pine straw, and see what get a price on both of them and see what the difference is. That's for the red mulch.
Got you, sir. Okay. Anybody else can think of anything, report to Mr. Osborne, and we'll put that in the bid process. Number 9, report and recommendation of the sale for a sealed bid process of 2 vacant mobile home structures on the city of Temple's property on Johnson Street, which was occupied by the city police department. Mr. Osborne.
We did, you did approve us to advertise for the disposal of this city property. We did so. In fact, we gave people an opportunity to come to the site, and I was out there on 4 different days for an hour each day in case we had somebody who wanted to look at it. We did receive sealed bids. Of course, we were offering these on an as-is basis. And whomever was selected by you is responsible for moving the trailers within 30 calendar days after signing the purchase agreement. We received only 1 bid. It's attached. It's from the West Georgia Baptist Church in the amount of $5,100. In fact, is the Pastor Garner, are you here tonight, sir? Because he said he might be coming, but anyway, the church, of course, would have the expense of moving these 2 modular units. My recommendation is that you accept this bid. We've been wanting to get rid of these. This will let us do it, and receive some funds in the process. The last page under this tab you will see is a resolution, and looking at your city charter, just being sure that we didn't trip over anything. It basically talks about the disposal of property and looking at the resolution. And so the resolution, if you can go to it, simply points out that we own these 2 vacant modular units that we've been acquired from the school system, house the police department before they moved to their current location. Until a few months ago, we had used it for storage. The units are now empty and are in a deteriorating condition. We have no plans to renovate them. We'd like to get them from that site so we can use the land to expand the city park. Don't need them for any other public purpose. And that we are able under our charter to dispose of this property. And that I think they have very limited value. There's no reason for us to spend funds to move them to another location and look at rehabbing them. And you did authorize me to advertise for bids. We got the bid, and so therefore be it resolved by the Temple Mayor and City Council that the bid from the West Georgia Baptist Church in the amount of $5,100 be accepted. The purchase agreement be signed, which requires the removal of these 2 structures. There are questions?
I make a motion to accept this.
Malcolm, got a motion to accept the second by Mr. Wall.
Yes.
Any discussion? Yes, sir, Ms. Russell.
I wanted to ask Mr. Osborne, this came up at our last time we discussed this. I'm thrilled to get the offer that we have, but what are we going to do with this? If this passes, where is this money going to go?
We would put it into the general fund at this time, and then we will come back to you. I know that I can expect to hear from the chief probably the next day or 2, since we had drug funds were involved in this, but also general funds also. But at the moment, we'll put it in the general fund, and then council will decide how you want the money allocated. Other than I would propose that the cost of running the advertisement, that we pay for that now of the sale of the property.
Make sure that you know where that money came from. Because I'm not sure where it came from. And I think that may have come from Splash. If it came from Splash, it's got to go back, right?
Probably wherever it came from, and I don't know.
But we can figure that one out, because that's a relatively new purchase.
Yes. Ms. Ransom.
That was brought up last month. The chief was talking about it too. Some of the money came from the drug seize money, but the general fund also offset some of the repairs and the stuff to set the trailers up. And Mr. Osborne was supposed to let us know this month what that allocation was. We're supposed to get that from Sarah when Todd brought it up, because it was, portions of it were drug funds, and portions of it was either general or splashed, and that's the question.
I don't think any of it was splashed.
Mainly general?
Yeah, general.
We need to check.
We'll be able to figure that out.
Because we would have to spend $5,000 to move them. So they took that out in the general, and then the PD fronted the money to do the renovations, and then the city added on to it to help us complete.
I remember that.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Can you just make sure to get with Sarah, can you leave that in our box, like where she determines where that came from, so that we know where it went back?
Right, we won't spend any of the money.
But you can't co-mingle a lot of those. Those 2 funds can't co-mingle. So we're talking drug funds and splash funds, we need to know where it goes back.
Okay.
Because there's a potential of 3 different funds that are governed with that money.
We got a motion and a second to accept this sealed bid. Any more discussion? Favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That's carried. Okay. Number 10, Mr. Osborne, tell us about this Casale stuff that just keeps on and on.
This has been a lot of twists and turns. The good news is that we're now live. We've had some recent difficulties, and I wanted to go over a couple of those things with you this afternoon. One of the things that came up, and I have, in addition to my memo, I have given you a sheet that Sarah Hefty had prepared. And I'll start with the fact that with Casale, that when we were doing the initial setup back in May of 2016, as she and her staff were working with Casale, frankly, we thought we had everything covered because we were talking about getting the same type of scope that the city of Villa Rica had. And I guess in a sense that was the case, but what we didn't know is that in the city of Villa Rica, that they had the meter reading portion of this application had been an add-on there. And it was not included in what we had, our costs that we were working with at that time. We were getting ready to go live, of course, about the 27th of April. And on April the 24th, we were told that, we were not getting the meter reading portion of the program, which of course is very key to why we were doing this to start with. And that it would cost another $5,500 to add the meter reading as an add-on to the current agreement. Let me just pause there. I have, Kristen had given you, before you started this meeting, you may still have that, hadn't put it in your booklet yet, but what I'm proposing that we get money for both of these items that I'm covering is, you remember that in our current budget under administration of intergovernmental agreements, we had put money in there for the payment to the city of Villa Rica for the entire 12 months. That's about a little less than $75,000. So we have money in that line item, and I would propose at this time that we pay for this out of that line item. Now later in the year, we'll need to do a budget adjustment on several things, and I covered a couple of more of those in the memo I've given you. When I get through and we come back to you and make some decisions on this, I would look at recommending to you that $5,500. We do need to approve incorporating the meter reading add-on to our agreement with Casale. Otherwise, we'll have additional problems we've got to deal with. Now, the next one on here is a little easier to swallow, because when we were working on this initially, that Ms. Hefty and the discussion that they had, we felt like that at that point, perhaps 3 concurrent licenses would be sufficient. But they recommended to me a few days ago that we need 5 rather than 3, because you figure that you've got Pam and Cindy going to have their machines tuned in all the time for the work that they continue to do. That means that we would have only one other access point for a number of people, including the police department. So we feel like we need the 5 concurrent licenses to be sure that people will be able to get on the system when they need to. And each one of these concurrent licenses is $2,000. That's a total of $4,000. And that would be that also would propose to pay from the intergovernmental agreement line items, because we got the money in the budget already. And then later in the year, when we look at the budget amendment, we would deal with that. Let me go over these next 3, and then I'll be glad to respond to questions. You had authorized us to enter into an agreement with Chase Payment Tech for credit card processing. We had been using Merchant eSolutions, and Casale was more familiar with Chase Payment Tech. But frankly, as we have tried to implement with them, it has been one problem after another. And so in working, Sarah and her staff and Casale, basically they came to me and said they would like to continue to work with Merchant eSolutions rather than Chase Payment Tech. And basically, what I will need to get you to do is take action so that we basically terminate our efforts to successfully conclude an agreement with Chase Payment Tech. The next one is that, as Mr. McRae can tell you, you've not acted on this, but we have been working, including his office, for several weeks with express bill pay. You did get a report from Mr. McRae on some things that he wanted express bill pay to do, and they didn't want to do them, and we went back and forth and back and forth. And so Sarah and Casale have said, well, there's nothing wrong with the services that we're getting from USA ePay, so you don't need to take any action. We would just continue to work with them. Finally, my understanding is that with all the problems we've had with Harris TBS, that the thing, we did not have a problem with certain services provided by Harris, that we were looking at not going forward with them, but by dealing with Datamax, and I have reported this to you before. Datamax has refused to give us a figure. They want us to sign a contract, and then they will figure out how much they need to charge us based on their review of how things work. We don't want to deal with Datamax. Sarah and Pam Edwards have said that we're getting good service from that component of Harris, which is a separate one from where we had all the problems now. So that's a long report, and as you can see from your agenda item, I am asking you to take actions. We need to incorporate this meter reading add-on to the current agreement with Casale Utilities at an additional cost of $5,500, which we would pay for at this point. That would be charged out of intergovernmental agreement or the intergovernmental fund. So if we can start with that one, I'll be glad to respond to any questions that you have.
Mr. Harrison.
We've been in this agreement, intergovernmental agreement, for over a year now. And at the time this was first presented to us, the whole point of going with Casale was we were piggybacking, I thought, on all these agreements, and we wouldn't have to have all this little individual stuff if we went on this program on our own for a system upgrade. At this point, I don't know how much we would have been paying to have this all on our own versus what we're now paying to do this through Villarica. Are we paying the same? Are we paying more? I mean, the whole point of this was we intergovernmental with Villarica, and we piggybacked off a lot of their stuff. We weren't supposed to be out of pocket. Every time we turn around, we're out of pocket something else, and it's a year and we still don't have full access to this. I want to know what Casale now would have cost us to just be on our own with Casale versus what we're paying to be on Villarica with Casale. I don't even know anymore. It's been so long, I couldn't even find the quotes that were first given to us. So that's my question.
Well, I don't know that there's an easy answer to that. At this point, I would say to you that once we get operational, if at some point this city or Villarica wanted to terminate that relationship, you would be able to do so. We've got, I think, a 3-year agreement.
Right, but before that, if we terminated it, we were going to be out all this money because we weren't spending this money because we were piggybacking on Villarica. And all we're doing is constantly coming out more money, and we still don't have the system up. It concerns me.
I can't answer that
Mr. Osborne maybe can get your answer for you.
We can get some comparable cost figures perhaps. But insofar as.
Is it still a savings, or are we right up there with what it would have cost us to do an upgrade to this up? I mean, I don't even know anymore.
You had your hand.
I did that, right? Yeah. I have concerns about why we didn't have this meter reading add-on from the beginning. Is that something we overlooked, they overlooked, we weren't told about?
Thought we were getting everything.
But now it's costing $5,500. We should have known that we would have to have something for the meter reading.
Well, my understanding from Ms. Hefty, and as I called you through your attention before, was that what she has said here is that during the initial setup in May 2016, we requested the utilities application, but either it was not explained or it was not understood that the meter reading portion was an add-on. That was discovered April 24, 2017, just days before we expected to go live. I can't do more than report to you because I was not involved directly in that.
All right, just seems like there's more and more add-ons, more and more money.
It has been since day one. Had to buy that service, the record, and we had to buy one for here and Mr. Brown.
I would like to have, I'll echo whatever my colleagues meant. I'd like to see a comparative analysis of exactly what we have paid. And I know that I've heard Ms. Renton say that we're coming and being asked to look at budgeting money, and I've gone through 50 times to see if I've got anything that even relates to a budget. It's very difficult to make a decision of $5,500 or $9,500 when I don't know where and how this is being done. I know that anytime you're transferring over and you're getting into new software and hardware, that can be expensive, and it should be saving us money in the long run. So I would like, if Ms. Hefty could come, maybe answer our questions, that would be nice. But the other thing is, when we're talking about all this bill pay and all of this, when you go online and pay, I guess you're paying fines online, you're paying everything online. Is that a service that we're giving, or is that a service that we're charging for? Or do you know?
I think that, and I just say I think, I'll have to verify that that the fee that is costing us is factored in, but I have to verify that.
The reason I ask that is because if I go get a tag and I use a credit card, they charge me a fee.
Factored in.
And if I go, no, it's not factored in, it's credit card fee.
No, it's factored into the bill that you pay.
Oh, that they're already. So does that mean that if I don't pay for a credit card, I'm paying for it? Because I don't pay my water bill with a credit card.
I do, I've never paid that.
So we need to look at that too, because I think if we're going to give free credit card to our, we should be making that decision. We should be making it known that that is something we're giving, because it costs every time there's a credit card transaction, it costs us. Does that make sense? So I'd like to know, if you pay your, it is a real convenience. I'm willing to pay it. Everything comes in a concise, easy way to do it. You don't have to really have cash in there. I'm willing, myself, I'm willing to pay for that convenience. But I think that if we're going to absorb that as a city, that is something that we should approve through some kind of open forum to say, the city is going to pay for those who use that service. You know what I'm saying? Because it isn't across the board. Because I don't pay,
And I'll get that information. This is not something that, to the best of my knowledge, we're making any change in what our practice has been.
But we may need to. That's what I'm saying, we may need to.
Right.
Is this all based on you got to know this by June the 1st? Or will we have time to get this information before we make this decision?
we're in a heap of trouble if we don't go forward tonight with the meter reading thing, because you're gonna have a whole new round of problems, and we won't even have a way to deal with. So it's not much of a choice. We got,
So this
we can try to get redressed.
This 5,500,
We can try to get redressed later and decide what we do. Without the approval and paying 5,500, I won't say we're dead in the water, but we certainly will be flammable.
okay.
Not a happy situation, but that's the reality.
I'm good with if we're in a bind, but like I say, there was a lot of documentation in that June packet.
The way I see it, we're almost too far in this to turn back. And,
And the one thing about it, Mr. Mayor, is that once we get all this converted over and we get rid of that PBS, whatever that is, I think all of us are going to be better. I think we're going to save money by having it. But we do need to get a handle on that.
well, you know, when you go buy a new car, you know, it's supposed to come with 4 tires and wheels and stuff like that. And I mean,
There's a set of floor mats too.
I thought, you know, long ago, when we bought that first server, that was it. And we had to have one out here.
Yeah.
And then it's just nickel and dime.
We need to get an update on that.
Death, we need to know exactly what we're getting and what we're paying for somewhere along the line. That's right.
I'm not okay with this. I mean, we've got budgetary rules and things that we're supposed to follow. And you're saying, hey, blind, we've got to have this, and I'm going to tell you this is the last thing we got to have. The problem that I've got is I do not have a budget where I can see what line we're talking about moving, and we've moved them, and we're only
Yes,
into
ma'am, you do.
April.
Now, you do have that.
I have this little printout, but what your printout doesn't necessarily show, things that we voted on already, the move and transfers that aren't included in this printout yet. It's through March. And when I go up here and I get a whole section of stuff, and I can put them and lay them out beside each other, I'm looking at money change between departments with every printout I get.
Well, on this particular thing, this line item on the intergovernmental, the only thing we pay out of that line item is to the city of Villa Rica under this contract.
But then it'll be short, and we'll have to do a budget amendment because we won't have the money in the budget to pay for it.
We'll have to do a budget amendment, as I said, to start with, $5,500.
I guess what I'm concerned is there's so much of this that becomes, oh, y'all have to do it tonight, it's gotta be done tonight, and
Well, we
but
need
getting the
that to
updates that I need about where the money's going and where the money's being redeposited, can't seem to get those updates. Just the emergency, you gotta vote for it. And, you know, that causes a problem because trying to keep up with it has become impossible. I mean, we have already said, hey, we're gonna move $600,000 of SPLOST into the water and sewer fund so we can be close to compliance, but oh wait, we're gonna use that same SPLOST money, we're gonna fix this road over here because we got an emergency, but oh wait, now we're gonna use the water and sewer fund, which is now Jacksonville SPLOST money, to come over here and take care of the bill with our computer system while we're still keeping part of Harris, that all I've heard out of 2 previous administrators is how horrible Harris was. And we're still keeping a section of Harris. It's become a little bit much. And so I'm beginning, you know, I want to see a report of exactly what we're getting with this intergovernmental agreement. I thought we had one individual that was assigned, we were paying Villa Rica for an employee that was supposed to handle Temple side. If we are, I'm not mad at them. I don't know what they're doing. But I do know that this is the 3rd or 4th time something's been brought forth, and that we gotta have it right now. Gotta have it right now, right now, right now. And we still don't have a server. We still don't even have it up online. And it, like I said, those are my concerns, is this, who's gonna keep up where all this money's been moved and repaid and double paid out of when it comes down to a budget, other than doing a blanket amendment later.
The other $4,000, does that have to be approved tonight? Is that something that's crucial, or can it wait, or is it all go together?
It does not have to be approved tonight. What I can't tell you is what problems they may run into. And if so, it would be short-lived, and we'd have to come back the danger with having just 3 servers as opposed to 5. It's just like you have when you're in an office and you have a certain number of lines. Sometimes you may not be able to get on the line when you want to. But that's not going to hurt us to, that would be, that's not a extreme problem, because we can come back and work on that with you later.
Okay, but you're saying we got to have $5,500, we got to pay that in order to get online for the water to go.
If we don't have that, we got big time problems, because
We're just going away.
we're getting the bills out.
All right,
All right,
I'll make a motion.
got a motion,
5,500, we'll deal with 4,000
got a motion.
when we get it.
Mr. Bratton wants to go with the 5,500 for this meter reading, and on your second. Second, Mr. Walton, any discussion? Favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Pass.
3, 4, and 1 against. Okay,
So we don't need to do anything, as we said, with the 4,000. What I would like you to consider is that, and you don't have to do this tonight, we can come back. We're not going to go forward with Chase Payment Tech based on what I've been told, but we already were using Merchant Solutions. So at some point, we need to notify Chase Payment Tech, but we can come back to that at your next meeting.
okay.
And the other 2 are just reports to you in terms of that.
Number 11, report concerning insurance policy renewals and possible modifications in certain insurance policies currently carried by the City of Temple. Mr. Osborne.
It's that time of year that we have been working, of course, with Preston Taylor, Jay Smith and Neil, getting information. We'll have that to you. We're on the same schedule basically we were this time last year. We'll be getting information to you in the next few days. We'll need to do something toward the end of May because our policy expires at the end of May. But we'll be working with them and getting information to you over the next couple of weeks.
No, we need to bid that out again.
Probably what we need to do is to make a firm decision in terms of if we're going to bid it out. We probably should have started that 4 months ago.
Okay. That's the report. Number 12, report on proposed new intergovernmental agreement between the City of Temple and the New Houston County Tax Commissioner in order to continue tax billing and collection agreement which expires December 31st, 2016.
That should be. It expired, yeah, that's right, 2016. So our agreement expired when the other commissioner left office. The new commissioner is interested in continuing that agreement. This is just a report to you. We will be coming back with the specifics. I'm assuming you would want us to have an agreement. That frankly would be difficult to deal with without that agreement since we've got a small section of the city in Harrison County.
Okay. I would think we would want to get that agreement and go on. 13, report on the City of Temple's revenue and expenditures for the first quarter of 2017 fiscal year.
I have given you a report that I got from Ms. Hefty. Don't know if you've had a chance to look at it. Would ask you to do so. A couple of things that I would point out to you that I have a memo that was given to you late this afternoon. That when you look at this, have about 4 things that I think that you've been wondering about. Under our general fund revenues, police and municipal court, you will see that our revenues are up. In the first quarter, we received about 41.90% of our anticipated revenues. And Chief Lee and I talked about this, and we have had some major problems down with Interstate 20 is with all the construction that's gone on down there. Of course, there have been several fatalities on 20 between the Alabama line and Villa Richter, including in the Temple area. So we have been trying to keep things at least slowing down a little bit as people come through that section of Temple. The result of that is when you look at what we have paid on fine add-ons, if that's higher, of course that's a direct relationship with some of the increase in police activity in our court. On the next page, you will see that if you remember back with the settlement of the lawsuit involving the elected officials and myself, the city under the court order, we had to pay approximately $20,000. And as you remember, reported to you that we paid these out of the legal fees line item. And that, so we are going to have to do a budget amendment as we knew we would, dealing with that particular line item. So we have sufficient money in legal fees line item to pay our city attorney on a month-to-month basis. And finally, if you're comparing engineering fees line item in roads and public works, you'll see that we haven't expended any of the $32,500 there, but in water and sewer, we've overspent, and basically that's a matter, I think, that we've got coded to the wrong place. That's the work that I would rate that group did for us as part of the stormwater management program that we're working on. But please take a look at that. As I said in my report to you, if you have any questions now, I'd be glad to try to respond, but I'd be glad to set up a meeting separately with any of you to go over and we can get Sarah involved with that as you wish.
Okay. Item number 14, report on bond indebtedness for City of Temple and the water and sewer corporation. Your next item is that, and this is one that Councilwoman Ransom had asked for a report on. And as you will see, the auditors, as they have continued to work, they have said that our rate covenant report looks a little better. Our debt service coverage is showing it to be 0.71, which is better than 0.56. We still have a significant way to go before we get to the 1.05, which is what we will be showing you with some reports that you'll get in the next 2 to 3 months. But that's where we are at this point. I think what the Bank of America Merrill Lynch is doing at this point is watching to see if we going to be able to get a handle on our situation. I know that they were pleased that we signed the agreement with Bill Camp, Raymond James. I know that they're encouraged by the fact that we're having a rate study done and that we are having contact with a couple of agencies that they feel positive about. But that's kind of where we are. Mr. Camp had said to us that he didn't feel like that there was any need for us to look at any refinancing at this point. After we get the rate study completed and you decide what you want to do on the rates, that would be a time that we'll follow up with him and see where we go from here. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, 2 things. My understanding in December when that Raymond James was brought up was that we were just going into an agreement to allow him to come and talk with the council, which I've not heard a word about Raymond James until you just said his response was about the refi. I didn't know. The other thing was I went back and looked at some of the previous bond, and Raymond James was involved in the refi of the 2010. They held several different bond positions within that bond. So my next question then comes down to this compliance certificate, where we would still, if this is accurate, we would still be out of compliance for 2016. Is that 0.71, which is a slight increase, is that based on the finances that show the $600,000 slush money?
That's my assumption.
Okay, well, if that's the case, then are we, without that, actually lower than what we were last year on actual revenue? Is question number one. And question number two is if Carroll County water is going up on the charge of water, that's going to also
Correct.
cause some issues here. So I would like to know, number one, is that 0.71 reflective of $600,000 of squash money being in that account? And if so, what is our actual compliance without it?
Probably 0.56 would be my guess.
I would like to know though, are we dropping from 16 or did we come up a little on our own for 16?
I'm sorry.
2000, well, you've got the 0.59 audited, projected at 0.56,
Yeah.
but compliance certificate at 0.71. So I want that clearly, is that 16 projected without the squash money?
I think the difference is just what you said, that the difference between 0.71 and 0.56 is the payment by.
So we actually dropped from last year at 0.59, we would have gone down to 0.56, and we're looking at a significant increase in water. So I would say as emergencies come up and we're spending squash money as we've already had to do the first 3 months of this year, that we need to seriously, and especially in the process of a rate study, is how much of that rate study is then going to be affected by an increase in our water. All that information needs to be shared between everyone, or we're going to get bad numbers again right as a water increase comes up on our end. And if we're spending squash money, we're going to have an issue.
Mr. Reed is aware of what the water authority is looking at on the rates. The other is that which with William Camp, which you approved was for him to talk with you. There is no requirement, there is no commitment. I guess there is no commitment that we do anything with them. But we had to have in place the agreement so that he would be within the federal law with talking with us about.
So just the administration or the council? Because I thought it was to come and explain to the council what we had going on. And I never got any more information past the budget vote to, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you, sitting as a board member, I'm concerned about it, but I'm concerned about it for other reasons as well. When you know, we're required in June, when you're fixing to have to come up, where you've got to send that mini audit to the Bank of America. You're going to have to send our bank statements for June or July. You're going to have to send our water and sewer finances for June or July. They have to be sent twice a year, June and July. So if we're sending them finances that show $600,000 of more money in that account while we're over here spending it, I'm not going down for muni bond fraud. Don't even want no part of it. What's legitimately finances, I want to know the finances that we're sending. I want a copy of that mini audit when we send that to Bank of America. I want to know that if we send them a bond compliance that looks like we jumped up, that that's money then that is allocated over to that fund, and we can't be deciding to spend it on emergencies. I mean, I need to know what's expendable and what's not when we make decisions like was just made to spend money out of the water and sewer fund to pay for an emergency expense. There's so much tied to this bond, this water and sewer fund, with water increases coming, that I don't want any board member up here to get in trouble for a vote. So if that's what Mr. James is here to do, is to talk with us and to explain what we're required to do, how this works, how that government works between Bank of America and us, that's information that I've needed for almost over 3 years. So I would like to have it. I want to know when we send that mini audit, was squash money included in that? And if that squash money is included in what we're spending with them, we don't need to be up here spending it this year on anything. Because we've done showed a bank that is holding a note, that's there. Do you follow what I'm saying, like why it would concern me?
Yeah, but the money that we're talking about, the $625,000 is money that you already spent. That was what we had to pay, and that money will not be spent again, that amount, until the end of this year. And where that money comes from, the decision hasn't been made yet.
Right.
but your options are very limited.
Exactly, and I want to know exactly what we're sending. I want a copy of what we are sending, the finances, the statements, everything you're required to send to Bank of America, including that compliance. Every council member needs to have that come June, or whenever it is that y'all are required to send it, June or July.
I don't think it's a problem.
Okay, because I didn't get the one for December, and I'd asked for the audit sent for December, and I never did receive it. So whatever we sent them in December, I'd like a back copy of as well.
Okay. Item 15, report on staff-initiated beautification activity at downtown Temple, and placement of several potted flowering plants on sidewalks. Kristen,
So this is a proposal from myself and Cindy Moore, who works at City Hall as well. She cannot be here tonight. So we just kind of brainstorm every once in a while when we're up here at City Hall. And I know everyone in Temple doesn't always agree on everything, but I think we as citizens can almost all agree that it would be nice to see some beautification and revitalization in the downtown area. I think that's really important. It's important for economic development, also for community engagement. We want our citizens to be proud of where they live and to get more involved in the community. So this is just a small proposal. I know that flower pots and flowers are not in itself going to bring businesses to downtown, but it's a small step. You have to start somewhere. So what we're proposing is, we're going to do this work on our own. We would like to purchase large pots. We figured probably 8 to start with, and put seasonal flowers in the pots in the downtown area, mainly on the downtown strip across from the railroad tracks in front of the Temple Pharmacy. We think it's important. I know that from what I understand, Crack, the business downtown, they took it upon themselves. They used their time, their resources to do some beautification, or I guess revitalization down there with the roof and that sort of thing. And volunteers also help with that. And I think it's important for the city to take a lead in beautification also. If we had citizens do this on their own, we need to show that we can help too and take the lead. So it's something small that we want to do. We feel like maybe if we put some flowers out, people will notice, and then they'll be like, what can I do to help? What can I do to give back? My vision is to hopefully get the community involved and maybe have an Adopt the Pot program. We're talking about a different kind of pot here, not the pot we're talking about. I'm talking about flower pots. So I really would like to get the community involved, where possibly churches, different community organizations, businesses, whoever, families, maybe could adopt a pot, and then they either pay for the pot and the flowers or help to take care of them. So I think it's a way to also get the community involved. Maybe it'll inspire other people to get involved and say, hey, let's do some paint and that sort of thing. I realize the buildings are privately owned. We can't do a lot, but it's a small start, and I really want to do something. So Ms. Moore and I would like to present this to the council because we need your approval to proceed. I talked to Mr. Everhart, our Public Works Director. He's also on board with this, and he's willing to help. We propose the money come from our beautification project, and our beautification line. And I did check the balance, and it's just over $16,000 currently. So we don't have an exact cost, but we don't think it'll be any more than $750. We will try to keep it as minimal as possible. One other thing I would like to look into, I know Temple High School has a plant sale. I understand it's kind of coming to the end of it right now, but I'd like to maybe partner with them if we can't do it now going forward, to where the high school gets involved with it and we purchase the flowers from them. That way the community is also benefiting from it. Try to keep as much as we can within the community. So that is our proposal, and I hope that you'll consider it. I don't know if we have to vote on it, but I would appreciate your support, or any ideas that you have. I would appreciate it. Thank you.
What's your, Mr. Brackman?
I think it's awesome. I think it's fantastic if somebody's willing to do it.
Would you like to make
I make a motion that they have up to $1,000 to be able to do this project, to make sure they have the pot. I would like to ask one thing first. Is perhaps with Dwayne's involved, you might check with those merchants to see if they'll paint those columns out there.
Okay.
That the flowers are going to really make the columns look bad, and maybe they'd be willing to paint it to go along with it. So maybe he could help check and just see if they'd be willing to be a part of it. But my proposal is maximum of 1,000. Then we put flowers in the pot so you can go from there.
Here's a second.
This with 1,000 from the beautification.
Beautification.
line item.
Here's a second, Mr. Bradman. Back second by Mr. Rockwell. Any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Somewhere there's some pots, I don't know if they're still stored upstairs in the Public Works building. I haven't seen them, but there were some pots and photos, I don't know what they look like now, but I know there were some down there that maybe the garden club did a couple of years ago. Or they, okay. So that's what I was gonna say, there might
I've
have
heard
been
about
some
that
that
too,
could
but
have used as
nobody
well.
seems to know where they are. So if we can find them, that'd be great.
No, I was just.
Yeah.
Any more discussion? Yes, sir, Mr. Roberts?
Yeah, I'm glad that you included Dwayne, because this is his money, right?
Of course, yes.
So, is it okay if I ask Dwayne? So you got involved with this, and one of the questions I want to ask, and I see a suggestion here, we approved the flags, I love the flags, I just couldn't figure out why we stopped before we got to downtown.
Well, we just got a certain amount that we approved in the initial budget, but we definitely can purchase some more. You talking about downtown?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's what we kind of discussed last year, kind of revitalizing the downtown area before we include some flags down.
Right, I feel like if we could do the flags also at the same time, maybe, then make more of a presence and a statement. I just feel like there's so much negativity, and I feel like there would be a positive, and again, it's just a small step.
Thank you.
You're awesome.
I think it's great, and I can tell you that KRG is going to be painting the columns already. I already know they've got that in the process to beautify that as well.
Great.
Any more, Mr. Walden?
Yeah, just one more comment. I think it's a great idea also, and I'm a supporter of it. But we also have money, $5,000 in the DDA that was dissolved that we could use downtown too, I would think. Let's keep that in mind.
Any more comments? A motion and a second to take $1,000 out of this beautification, up to $1,000.
Correct, yes, sir.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, that's carried. Thank you. Number 16, report on new master right-of-way agreement during the past year by Georgia Municipal Association Wireless Infrastructure Company Mobile Light concerning the installation of poles in municipal right-of-ways and or placement of equipment on existing poles. Mr. McRae.
I think you have in your packet the agreement, model agreement, and a note from GMA about that. The understanding, Mr. Osborne, is that Temple has received from Mobilite an application, maybe not an application, but they want to go ahead and move forward with this. Let me tell you one thing in general about facilities like this. If you don't permit them, then they just do what they want to some degree in your city. And GMA, of course, is very good to get ahead of these things, like we used to, as you may know, actually regulate cable to some degree in governments, and the GMA was responsible for that. I've looked at the agreement. We've looked at it for other cities too. We think it's a very good agreement. There are a couple of modifications that we always require in city agreements that we want to make here. My suggestion would be that you adopt the agreement subject to final legal review. That way we'll have something that Mobilite can go ahead and make their application and things of this nature, and we'll make the minor modifications to the agreement and then ask it to be signed by the mayor on behalf of the city. Answer any questions you may have.
Questions? I hear a motion that we adopt this agreement with Mobilite.
I make that motion.
Motion, Mr. Bratton, here a second. Second, Mr. Walden, any discussion?
That is subject to the attorney's final review.
Right.
More discussion? Favor signify by saying aye. And it's opposed. Okay, that takes number 17 too, doesn't it? Does not? Okay, report on the application, Mobilite for the attachment of its equipment to an existing pole city right-of-way park circle. New US 78 in the city of Temple right-of-way for Rome Street and Milner Street. Mr. Osborne.
You'll go back, you'll turn over from the tab where we have the mobile, on the model agreement. You will see a memo, and I will say I have been saying Mobilite for weeks and weeks and I'm told by the GMA consultant on this, that they call this mobility. That's a stretch to me, but that's what they call it, mobility. Bottom line is that back last October, Dwayne received a letter that I'll need you a copy of from this company looking at installing a new utility infrastructure here in Temple. And I've given you several pages. You can track the contacts that Mr. Everhart and myself, Ms. Edwards had with their real estate planning permitting manager Brandy Crawford, as well as Carroll County was involved, and we were making sure they were going through a review process. And they wanted to put a pole there down Park Circle, not far off 78, and they had asked for a pole 75 feet tall, and Dwayne looked at it and told them no, that it would be higher than 60. But our whole process is for several months was trying to make sure they were going through a review process. And then we became aware of this agreement that GMA had put together with them. And so we started back early in March. I made contact with Mr. McRae, bring him up to date with this. And one of the things, of course, that as we were going through this process, that we were not at that point looking at annual fees that they would pay to us. And so what I would like for you to do basically is just review this. As I mentioned with the insurance and a couple of other things, I think that we will need to have some type of special call meeting at some point during the month of May. Of course, mobility is, they're chomping at the bit to get started with the doing making the connection there at Park Circle. And I've told them, well, we'll hold up until Mayor and Council have time to get caught up to date on this and for us to then move forward. So now I'm not, if you wanted to go ahead and approve the thing on Park Circle, not fine, but I'm not asking you to do that because I know that you probably just have had very little time to look at what was in this book that you got last Friday. But if there are questions, myself and be glad to respond and going also.
Right.
My advice to you would be, since we'll have an agreement in place, and it has all the basic format of how you govern co-location and how tall the poles will be, we allow them to go ahead and apply. So we'll be able to get within the Public Works Department and the city staff what's going on with the agreement, what it looks like, what the application looks like, where it is. And then once you've got the application, you kind of got some data in here, what the deal is. Then I think part 2 would be to formally approve the application once the agreement's ready to sign, and the franchise agreement, and it's done, you have that in front of you, so it's going to move the process forward. So I think the only advice I would give you, you don't have to take any action, but just that the minutes would reflect, Zephyr, is that if there's no objection, we'll allow them to go ahead now that we've looked at this, make application so we can start the process of reviewing this and bring it back to you.
Need a motion for that, sir?
No, sir, I don't think so.
Okay.
Unless there's no objection, then we'll just reflect it. We'll allow them to apply and then allow the city to consider it at the appropriate time.
Anybody got any objections with that? Okay, carry on. Number 18, appoint City of Temple voting delegate to the business session of the Georgia Municipal Association that is June 23rd through the 27th, 2017 annual meeting. Do I hear an appointment?
Motion to appoint Mayor Pro Tem Bracknell again.
Mr. Bracknell. Got a motion by Mr. Walden to appoint Mr. Bracknell. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Rockwell. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed?
That's fine.
Got 3, 4, and 1 abstain. Okay, vote on slate of officers for the Georgia Municipal Association District 3 for 2017, starting with Mr. Osborne.
You'll look right behind the memo of what we just voted on, you'll see that the other day that the district meeting was held. First of all, this is kind of a rotating thing. Once you get on the list, you move up, but you can see that the last page here shows you the ballot. President for our District 4 would be council member from Zebulon, and you can see the list there. We just decide if we're in favor or not in favor. You have to submit this before the 1st of June, one ballot per city. So my recommendation to you would be approve the slate.
Got a motion, Mr. Bracknell, to approve the slate of officers. Here a second. Second, Mr. Walden. Any discussion?
Is that something that you will take care of?
Yeah, we'll send it in.
We don't do any more on it.
So we just need your approval or rejection.
Any more discussion? Favor signify by saying aye. Number 20, that's changed the date of the City of Temple's regular monthly meeting from Monday, July the 3rd to which of those dates would y'all like to consider?
July the 6th.
Ma'am?
July the 6th.
July the 6th. Ms. Ransom would like to consider that one. Okay, you making a motion?
Yeah, I can make a motion, I'll be out of
Ms.
town after
Ransom made
that.
a motion to change it to July the 6th. Mr. Bracknell, you second? Any discussion? Favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mr. Rockwell, you have anything, sir? No, sir. Mr. Bracknell?
I do. I have a question for Wayne Mayor.
Yes, sir.
There've been a lot of complaints about water pressure over in Windy Mill. Are you aware of that, and are you working on that, or can you become aware of it, and can you work on it?
Windy Mill, we did not.
Not Windy Mill, I'm sorry, it's Amy Ridge. Roll.
We got pressure rolls, but it's the county, it's blowing the inside of people's house.
I'm sorry. Amy Ridge.
Amy Ridge.
There's lots of complaints.
I have on TV.
Every time you interact with anybody from over there, it's the fact that they have water pressure about the size of a pencil. And it's worse at times than others. Can you check into that? At least go over there in that subdivision and talk.
Sure. In Wayne, we used to have a pump up there at the end of, by the school, somewhere up in there that fed Amy Ridge, and Mr. Baxley done some kind of deal, and I think they cut it off.
But wasn't it because it was broken, and didn't we approve to have that repaired?
So,
I think we approved to have it repaired, because he broke it when he turned it off, but it was causing so much problem over there, that water pressure.
We reported that the water pressure was fixed over there.
Yeah, but it's not.
That's what I was gonna say, because Dwayne, we had gotten a report that it was working fine, so I don't know if this is something that's come back.
I don't know, but there's enough people complaining about the water pressure that there's gotta be something.
Gotta be something.
We'll look into it.
Make sure the pumps are.
And the other thing is that, I know somewhere along the way there is either an ordinance or something that says that all of the kind of appointing positions and contracted positions, we're supposed to review those annually. Can you make that happen? Okay. Then I'll do, each one of these, like making sure that anybody that we have the regularly contracted services with, contracted services is the correct word. If something goes down, that's the first one we go to, and anybody can be put on there. But they're supposed to annually be verified that they have insurance, city business license.
That's been done.
That's been done.
Cindy did most of the work on that earlier this year. I helped a little bit, so I do know that we've updated our vendor list where they have to have their, not W-9, their insurance, and she was working on
And
that.
city business license.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And the appointed positions?
I'm not familiar.
The appointed positions, because there's some that I want us to look at.
Well,
Please. Thank you.
I just want to commend Kristen and Cindy for initiating the POP program.
Ms. Ransom.
Yes, I do. I want to thank everyone who came and spoke on both sides of the ordinance, and I also want to say that I do agree with Mr. Rothwell. I had wanted this to come before a full vote, but due to circumstances as they were, the motion was left in a tie. I believe the public does deserve more than that. So I'm going to ask the council in closing that you consider any issues that you might have had that would have changed your view on the ordinance, whether that be the fine amount, and you should be considering it, because I intend to bring it back up possibly in August when we do have a full council. So thank y'all. Thank everyone for coming. I appreciate it so much.
Okay, the only thing I have is I want to instruct Mr. Osborne and Mr. Everhart maybe to get with the Georgia DOT. Now, I know that we have left turn only signals somewhere, and we so desperately need one up here at 78 and 113. And even if they could fit it for certain times of the day, but man, this traffic, I'm seeing back up past Ingles down there, trying to turn left.
Will they do this study out here, or will they come on down with it, or would it make sense?
I think that we need to initiate this with DOT and see if we can get somebody out here to give left turn people some kind of relief. And that was brought up at the town hall meeting, the other day. And I mean, like I said, we've been needing a left turn lane out there for 20 years. And it doesn't get any better, but see if we can't get a light, left turn signal. Your motion,
I just going to say, I have seen the DOT recommendation for the Dollar General out here, and the changes to be made, and it does not include anything in traffic.
I don't know how people get them, and we get in trouble by the DOT if we try to tell trucks you can't do that. But then you go to Villa Rica and look, hanging across the road down there, no trucks, with these signs up there. I don't know why we can't have stuff like that, and why we have to, and just like paying for the ground, renting the ground that the sidewalks are on up there. I have never in my life heard of this city having to do that, but we have to pay them. Railroad, $600 a year just to rent the dirt that the sidewalks are under. We need to go to work and try to implement some stuff up here, like a turn lane, and figure out if the railroad ever calls us again, find out who ticked them off, that we are. Yeah, they do that. Well, it didn't used to be like that, so. All I have, do I hear a motion we adjourn?
Make a motion with adjourn.
Second. Second.